again, and welcome to episode 12 of the Racco Strength and Fitness Podcast. The Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Terry Bradshaw, and Wade Boggs episode. Actually, a little fun fact, did you know that Michael Jordan actually wore number 12 for one game in his entire career? It was back in 1990 on Valentine's Day night. Apparently his jersey got stolen out of the locker room before the game, so he had to, don the number 12 jersey for one night. I'm pretty sure he dropped 49 points in like 47 minutes or something like that. So apparently the number 12 inspires some sort of greatness, so let's hope it carries over into this episode for me. So today I'd like to talk about the barbell bent over row. As with all my other exercise breakdown videos, I'm going to take you guys through the setup, execution, the muscles worked, different variations of the exercise, and then where and when to include it in your programming. All right, let's get started. The bent over row has been a staple in bodybuilding and strength training for years. It's an excellent posterior chain builder that helps add size and strength to the back, the legs, the core, and shoulders. It's also very beneficial because it allows us to balance out our posterior to anterior strength. The reason why I bring this up, and I think if we're being honest with ourselves, for most novice or casual gym goers who may just want to lose a couple pounds or maybe just build up a little last minute muscle for their coming beach trip, we tend to gravitate towards what I like to call the magazine or the mirror muscles. It's basically everything that you see in the mirror in front of you: chest, shoulders, biceps, abs. Now look, there's nothing wrong with wanting a big chest or chiseled abs, but we also have to remember that our body wants to remain in balance, and all those muscles that I just named are all on the anterior portion of your body. And if our anterior portion, strength-wise, dominates our posterior portion of our body, that's when we become out of balance. That's when we put ourselves, at risk for, muscle weakness, injury, stuff like that. By incorporating an exercise like the bent over row into your programming, this will hit all those posterior chain muscles. Not to mention that having a strong posterior chain will do wonders for your posture. So after completing, our proper warm-up routine that we do every day coming to the gym, and remember guys, when we're warming up for big exercises, we also want to include lighter sets, sub-maximal sets to warm up for that specific exercise. Remember, right around, 40, 50, maybe even 60%, one set of each, couple reps here and there, okay? Once we choose the weight we'll be working with, and you probably should have done this before walking into the gym. Remember, if you're following a program, everything should be laid out for you, okay? There's no guesswork. It's always more beneficial to have quality movement as opposed to jerking around excessive weight. Don't pick a weight with your ego, pick it with your head, pick it with your program. How I teach the bent over row is with the weight racked either in a specified barbell row rack, which some of your gyms may or may not have. If it doesn't have a rack for a barbell row, you can always use a squat rack where you rack the weight a little bit lower. Either way, the weight should be roughly mid-thigh or just below your hands, if you're standing tall and your hands are extended down to your sides. Once you're ready to begin, set the bar up and grasp it in a pronated or palms down grip. Your grip should be about mid-range. How I would describe it is slightly wider than a deadlift or hip hinge, but also slightly narrower than your average bench press grip. Either way, you want the bar to rest comfortably in your hands when you're standing tall and the bar is hanging. Once your grip is situated, lift the bar straight up from the rack and take half a step back. All you need is for the bar to be able to clear the rack. You don't have to carry the weight halfway across the gym just to perform the exercise. Feet should be about shoulder width apart, toes slightly turned out. Here I want you guys to think hip hinge or deadlift. With your core braced and a neutral spine, perform a hip hinge by pushing your hips back with your knees unlocked. Let the weight slowly lower down until it's about an inch or two below your knee. This will be our starting position. Before pulling anything, focus on keeping your spine neutral, not flexed, not hyperextended, and always make sure when we're doing exercises like this, we want to brace our core. A Valsalva maneuver can always help with proper bracing when performing a bent over row, hip hinge, deadlift, squat, any big barbell type exercise. To begin the pull, Envision squeezing your shoulder blades back and together, and then finishing the pull by driving your elbows straight back until the bar touches or gets as close to your chest as your mobility allows. The barbell should touch your chest in a similar location as if you were bench pressing, so not up by your neck, but more toward the lower part of your sternum. Once you've reached the top position of the pull, perform the eccentric portion of the lift under control. Remember, the eccentric portion is where the trained muscles are lengthened under tension and is an important part of full muscle development. Do not let the weight fall to the bottom position, as it causes stress on your shoulders, elbow, and low back. This should be a relatively smooth exercise. We aren't jerking the weight up and down in some sort of bastardized, clean type movement. Keep hinge integrity throughout the entire exercise. There will inevitably be some sort of motion with your body when you're pulling the weight and lowering it, but I don't want you to rely on that extra motion to move the weight. Drive the weight up to your chest, lower it down under control, and then repeat. As I mentioned before, the barbell bent over row is an excellent posterior chain builder. Remember, your posterior chain is essentially all those muscles on the back side of your body, from your neck all the way down to your heels. Specifically, the barbell row targets the lats, which are always a big mover in all back exercises, the traps and rhomboids, your rotator cuffs, legs, specifically your hamstrings, glutes, and low back. Remember, the importance of training the posterior chain is to keep your body in balance with your anterior or front half. Overtraining your chest, shoulders, and abs while undertraining your posterior chain can lead to muscle imbalances. Muscle imbalances lead to weak muscles lead to tight muscles, and muscle tightness can now lead to back and hip pain and possible injuries. Train these muscles regularly to allow your body to stay in balance. So far, the exercise we've covered was a bent over barbell row with a pronated grip. Other variations of the exercise that still use a barbell include a reverse grip, which is sometimes referred to as the Yates row. This is named after 6-time Olympia winner Dorian Yates. This variation will have our palms facing up, or a supinated grip, and will need to assume a more upright posture to allow for a straight bar path. The reverse grip, or Yates row, will put more stress of the exercise on our lats and upper traps. Another variation is the Pendlay row, named after esteemed American weightlifting coach Glenn Pendlay, may he rest in peace. This is another variation where we're actually pulling the weight from the ground and resetting after each rep. Other variations you might see are a T-bar row, bent over dumbbell rows, dumbbell incline rows with your chest supported on a bench, inverted rows where you're pulling your body towards a bar. This is usually set up on either a Smith machine or a lowered squat rack, or any other variety of machine rows that your gym might offer. As with all training, your program and goals will dictate when and where you include rows into your training. If you're training for strength, you want to include them early in your program and you will use heavier weight for less reps. If you're planning to include them on a day where you're deadlifting, I would always recommend performing deadlifts first, as they are the most strenuous exercise that you'll be doing that day. Rows can then come after. Remember, when programming, you want your biggest, most strenuous lifts first when you're fresh. If you're looking to use rows as a supplementary back or posterior chain exercise, then slightly lighter weights with more reps will allow you to create more volume in your program for this exercise. That's all for me, everyone. I hope you were able to learn something that you'll be able to apply in your future training. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more training content in the future. Happy training, everyone, and remember, grab the bull by the tusks.